Hello, this is the artist formerly known as Fedora Boar 42069. I've been away for a while. I've been really soul searching because I lost my hat a few years ago, so maybe I'm just boy now. Anyway, so along with my internal searching, I have searched for new media to get into. I recently heard of this deal where I can go see unlimited movies for free, and so I naturally have hopped on board that. Free stuff is good stuff. I know I usually stick to movies that are classics, that are the greats, or pilot episodes, or trilogies, but I just really want to look at this new trilogy of Geostorm. Now, I know a lot of people didn't think it was actually a trilogy, but if you look closely at how the director changed between the different movies from The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, and then you have Geostorm. So Geostorm happens after all of those things, and you would have thought that, after the previous disasters that totally fricked up the whole world, they would have come up with a solution. Well, you were right. You were right, they did. They came up with a solution. The whole world came together, as explained pretty much in the trailer, to create a system of satellites that surround the Earth. It's really just like a science movie, and I can really relate to that. We all came together and made a whole fleet somehow of these space shuttles, and we threw them all up into orbit with like 600 people onto the International Space Station, and somehow we put out a bunch of these satellites, and it was great. It was called Dutch Boy. They didn't really explain why. I think it's because the guy who made it was from Florida, and we all know that the discoverers of Florida were Dutch. And as we know, they discovered the Fountain of Youth, right? So that's why it's Dutch Boy, right? Because this Dutch person founded Florida, and he turned back into a boy because of the Fountain of Youth. And so then we go through a whole rigmarole of, these satellites, they start going bad. Stuff starts going wrong. The weather starts being like normal weather, except this time it gets really bad. These hurricanes that now are being created by the satellites that we designed to stop those, now cause a chain reaction if you give them 20 minutes. So in 20 minutes, these satellites, if they go wrong, they can create a whole thing across a giant piece of land that's called a geostorm. Like, if there was ever a storm that enveloped the whole world, we would all know that it's Geostorm, right? We all learned that in school. That's like 3rd grade, Geostorm. Like, they were just gonna, the president was like, we don't want a whole team of engineers and computer scientists to fix this bug, fix all these people from dying. We just send one guy up there and call it good. He'll fix it all. He made it. He can fix it. Right? It's a giant space station with like 600 people that don't know what they're doing on it. One guy's going to go up and fix it. So they send him up, and then he fixes it. It's the end of the movie. It's a classic man versus machine. It's like basically the whole movie was like watching Transformers. That's what it is, where they fix cars the whole time. They have to fix Transformers, right? That's what that movie's about. So the guy goes up, he's just fighting satellites basically the whole time. Like, he has to fight through the system to get all the way. I'm sorry, spoilers, massive spoilers there. He has to fight through a bunch of these satellites to get to the International Space Station, where they're like 600 people all rooting for him the entire time. And down in Houston, we've got NASA that's saying, oh yeah, go, fight those satellites that are going rogue and stuff. And yeah, so in the end, like, the satellites all gang up on the International Space Station and try to, blow up everything. So the space station has a self-destruct. As we all know, space stations need self-destruct. So they explained it. Don't worry. I'm a scientist in training, and I checked it out. Their explanation was that if this giant space station was crashing into the Earth, they would slowly blow it up over the last hour of the movie, so that before it crashes into anything, they just blow up into a million pieces. Everything's fine. It just really checks out. It checks out. If a giant space station is crashing into the ground and you want it to stop from crashing into the ground and you want it to just burn up in the atmosphere, this atmosphere will get rid of anything you throw at it, no matter how big. It just self-destruct, crashing, still self-destructing. Here's the atmosphere. It's crashing down, self-destruct, and it's about to hit the ground and boom, self-destruct, and then evaporates, right? That's how it works. Also, a lot of these people on the space station had guns, and I know there's a very high chance of these satellites coming to life and destroying everything. So I mean, it makes sense why they have guns on there. But why didn't they have cool guns? They had in 2019 we're all gonna have self-driving cars like in this movie. And we're going to have these little projector screens. They're like computers and phones, but they wrap up into a little pin. And then you pull them out, and then it's just a screen that's clear. You can see through it, and you can just do whatever you want on there. There's a lot of weather apps and stuff. That's basically what they use it for, is weather apps. But they also have phones that aren't that. This thing is a totally separate thing. It's maybe a tablet of the future, but they also have cell phones that they hold, and laptops and stuff. So it was just really confusing, this amalgam of just new technology that's going to be here in 2 years, of course, and old ones where we can put a whole satellite system up. Never mind all the space junk. That doesn't even matter. There's no space junk in space. None of these satellites are going to get blown up. They're giant, huge, fragile things. No space junk's going to kill them. No. I really wanted space junk fight. So yeah, and then, Gerard Butler versus the satellites. Everybody has to leave the space station, go back down to Earth before it self-destructs. And then it's Gerard versus the big satellite, the last satellite that's shooting lasers down on the Earth, and he has to fight him, and the whole satellite, how satellites all in space can transform themselves into robots that can fight Gerard Butlers. If ever a Gerard Butler came up, these people who build satellites know that they have to have a Gerard Butler fighting robot. So that's what happened. This giant robot versus Gerard Butler. It was very much like that scene in Aliens where Ridley's in the little robot thing, and then the Queen comes and fights her. She's in the one thing with the clamps, and then she's fighting the Queen. So that's basically what happened in this movie. It was a good finale. He becomes the president after that. He comes back down. Spoiler, sorry. He survives the fight with the claws and the clamps. Comes back down on a satellite. It's pretty ironic. He comes back down on a satellite. That's just how badass he is, and they just crown him president right there. Just right there. They just crown him president. Half the world got messed up. Everything's fine now. He's the president. He's the president of the world. They elect him president of the world. So they just go back up into space, build another space station, fix all the satellites, and just say, oh, well, this'll never happen again. Yeah, so President Gerard Butler of the world was a very satisfying ending. It was very satisfying. And, we do a rating system here. I'm glad to be back. I will try to review every movie that I see in theaters that I liked, of course, and I'll rate them on a scale of shots. So this movie, pretty good. 3 out of 5 shots. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.